Let's not beat around the bush. You want to win your fantasy league, but you don't want to tank your team to do it.
Oh, God! Pull me in! Hang on! Don't let go of me! Mayday! This is just top 3! We're going down!
So here are 3 cheap players with league-winning upside next season. Number 1 is Chase Claypool. Look, things may not have worked out in Pittsburgh with the ghost of Ben Roethlisberger's throwing arm, but things are looking up in Chicago. Because one thing we know about Chase Claypool is that not only is he an otherworldly athlete, but he's also one of only 13 players since year 2000 to post over 1,700 yards in their first 2 NFL seasons, and this list is packed with league-winning names. So why Chase? Because while Mike Tomlin and the Steelers have decided to target Chase Claypool on deep routes at a rate 16% lower than his rookie season, Justin Fields just happens to be slinging it downfield at a rate which is second highest in the NFL. And let's not forget the price tag that Chicago paid just to acquire Chase Claypool. They sent an early 2023 second-round pick, which is currently projected inside the top 40 in next year's draft, which means the Bears are all in on Claypool and his long-term potential. And I've said it before, but I will say it again. At his ceiling, Chase Claypool could very well be bargain bin DK Metcalf. But before I unleash the second juiciest player on this list, make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you continue to get content just like this. Speaking of gambling, let's talk about our second wideout on the list, Calvin Ridley. After finishing the 2020 season top 4 at the position, Ridley found himself on the losing end of a 1-year NFL suspension, which spiraled its way further down the drain until he ended up a Jacksonville Jaguar. Now, this landing spot may look like an absolute nightmare scenario to many people.
This is the captain. Brace for impact.
But those folks haven't been paying close enough attention to Trevor Lawrence. Because not only is Lawrence top 7 in the NFL in total pass attempts, but he's also ranked amongst the 13 lowest quarterbacks in turnover-worthy throw rate at 3.4%, while also ranking in the top 8 in total deep passing targets with 36 on the year. And this is great news for Calvin Ridley, who during his last full season ranked number 1 in the NFL in total deep targets with 40 on the year. And this is clearly something the Jacksonville Jaguars are looking to fix, because though Lawrence ranks top 8 in total deep targets, his rate of throwing them downfield is just 1% higher than that of Davis Mills, and that needs to be resolved. And at his current market cost of the wide receiver 40 in Dynasty, you can get your hands on one of the league's best separators and refined deep ball targets for very, very, very cheap. But our third option might be the most exciting and least expensive of this entire group, and that's Terrace Marshall of the Carolina Panthers. After struggling to do much in year 1 in an anemic offense, Marshall is finally starting to show flashes in year 2, with back-to-back weeks of top 30 fantasy finishes. While finally playing over a 90% snap share in those same weeks, he's back on the fantasy radar.
I'll be back.
And there are plenty of reasons to remain optimistic about his upside entering the 2023 season. He's just 22 years old. He's an elite athlete. He was a former second-round pick just 1 year ago. And in 2022, it's entirely possible this Carolina Panthers team ends up with a bottom 2 record, which means they're in the CJ Stroud and Bryce Young quarterback sweepstakes. Because it doesn't take much for your offense to go from absolutely unwatchable to explosive in one draft. Just ask the Cincinnati Bengals. And the biggest change for Terrace Marshall in 2022, though, has to be the 54.1% increase of outside snaps that he's seen since his rookie year. And this change is finally manifesting itself as he is top 19 in yards per route run over the last 2 weeks, and number 2 overall in yards after the catch per reception amongst that same group. And while some people may refer to this blip on the radar as a flash in the pan,
There she goes!
knowing that Marshall is viewed as the wide receiver 61 overall and his value next to guys like Devin Duvernay means he is likely available for a future third or possibly even cheaper. So who do you think is a good off-the-radar candidate for people to chase in Dynasty Leagues? Drop your comments below. And again, make sure to hit subscribe on this channel to not only help it grow, but give yourself a boost in the fantasy leagues that you play in.